Welcome to ACT Fitness Radio. The health and fitness podcast teaching you to aspire, conquer, and transform. Here's your host, Adam Castro.
All right, welcome to ACT Fitness Radio, coming to you from Core Evolution in Whittier, California. And can you believe that it is only 2 more weeks away till Christmas time? My goodness, it's less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. Just snuck up on all of us. It's a beautiful season right now. Make sure that you're wearing your layers, your sweater wear, and all those gloves and hats and hoodies and all that fun stuff. I get to break out the leather jacket again and all that fun stuff. And it's baking season, not bacon season. Every season is bacon season, but it's baking season where you get to warm up the house with your oven. And for the first time in quite a while, I got the chance to bake some chicken thighs, and I forgot how good fresh baked chicken is. I don't know if you've ever gotten the chance to just meal prep or prepare your food, and you just put just a couple of chicken thighs in the oven, season it just right, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of seasoned salt, or maybe you want some taco seasoning, whatever. You put it in the oven, doesn't take more than 30 minutes, and boom, you've got beautiful golden chicken thighs ready for you, for your week even. And I just haven't done that in quite a while, and it was good to get back to that. It's so easy. It's so easy that you can be doing something else while you're baking that chicken. Make sure there's, obviously you're keeping track of the time. But if you're struggling with a little bit of meal prep, but you got an oven at home, just create a huge tray of chicken thighs. If I'm actually currently thinking about going back into the ketogenic diet, because that is something that I did for a couple months, and I really liked it. My body responded very well to it, and I'm thinking about going back into it in this next month. I know, perfect time, right when the Christmas cookies are going to be coming out. No, I'm thinking about going back into it. So if you are doing ketogenic diet, it would actually benefit you to go for the skin and the meat. It's about 17 grams of fat and 19 grams of protein per serving, which I believe is about that 4 ounces. If you're trying to eat a little bit leaner of meat and want more convenience, you just put it in, make it, and then it's ready to eat. Go for the boneless, skinless. It is going to cost a little bit more, but at least then you get to play around with your macros a little bit easier. And that is my cooking advice for today. And back to the Christmas theme. If you do choose to fuel the ACT Fitness Radio podcast, if you'd like to fuel this podcast, then you know what to get me for Christmas. That's right. Get me some Zevia Cola, and you will make me a very, very happy man. They restocked those Zevia Energies, and I feel so bad just robbing everyone of those Zevia Energies. But my goodness, I just can't let anybody else have them. I've got to take them all for myself. And just so you guys know, I want to go spend maybe 5 minutes into talking about my history with caffeine, because you may not know. I know I talk a lot about, carbonated beverages and the Zevia Energy. I don't recommend you drink energy drinks. I really don't. And I mentioned in one of my podcasts that I started very young. I did start in my sophomore year of high school, starting to drink some monsters. The story behind that was that I had a class called AP Chemistry, and it was at 7 a.m. in the morning, sophomore year of high school, and my older brother was storing the low-carb Monster Energy drinks in the garage, and he would get a case of them. I believe my parents would buy them for him, and be a big case that they'd store it in the garage. And I don't know how I figured this out, or maybe I knew all along and just had decided to do it then because I needed that energy. But sophomore year of high school, for those 7 a.m. classes, I would start to sneak into the garage and take a drink or two and take it to school, and I'd be sipping on Monster Energy 7 a.m. in my AP class. And this was right around the same time that I would start drinking coffee as well. So I was drinking 1 to 2 Monster Energy drinks with another Frappuccino or coffee. I graduated from Frappuccinos to actual coffee. Frappuccinos are not real coffee. Just got to throw that out there. Anyways, Monster Energies, coffee, and I was probably taking in a good 800 milligrams of caffeine per day. And that's really bad. You know, the clinical dose is 300 milligrams. So being way over that, every single day I was taking in that much caffeine. And this was also during a time that I was staying up very, very late and not getting a lot of sleep. And so paired with the high caffeine, I just had such a tolerance to the caffeine, such a tolerance. I needed more and more and more. And Monster Energy drink met me in my addiction by putting out those Monster Shooters, which were basically the first 5-hour energy drinks. I don't know if 5-hour energy even came out yet, but they were basically the first 5-hour energy drinks that I had tried at least. And I started drinking those really, really late because I wanted to stay up later. And then they started coming out with those nitro, those nitro bottles, and then my favorite one was the white 0-calorie Monster Energy drinks. Those were my favorite because they actually didn't have as strong of a taste. They were lightly carbonated, and they were just more like a soda. Honestly, they were definitely more like a soda. As I talk about this, you know, you can tell I really enjoyed drinking these. So for a while, all the way up to college, I was continuing to drink Monster Energy drinks. Halfway through that, I tackled on, as I started getting more and more into fitness, I started taking pre-workouts as well. And so not only was I having Monster Energy drinks, but I was also having coffee and I was having pre-workouts. And the pre-workouts that I would have were those C4s. So I believe C4 had 135 milligrams of caffeine in it. I think so. I forget now, but per 1 scoop. So there would be some workouts where I'd have 1 scoop, some workouts where I'd have 1.5, and some workouts where I'd have 3. And I knew not to drink a Monster Energy before a workout, but I didn't really put 2 and 2 together that Monsters and pre-workouts were pretty much the same thing, just without the beta-alanine in the Monster. And so my 800 milligrams of caffeine a day probably turned into like 1,200 milligrams of caffeine per day. And that's just outrageous. No one should really be at that level of caffeine. And I was doing that every single day. Thankfully, in college, I was able to get a little bit more sleep. The scheduling was a little bit more on my terms, so I could sleep when I wanted to, and I scheduled naps if I needed them. So I did get more sleep, but for whatever reason, my tolerance to caffeine just kept going up, going up, going up. I eventually stopped drinking Monster Energy drinks. And that was the best decision of my life as far as energy, because I think right after that, I just felt my energy come back a little bit. And that was taking my caffeine down quite a bit, back to that probably 800 milligrams of caffeine, because I was still drinking coffee throughout the day and taking pre-workout before my workouts. But it definitely brought down my caffeine levels until finally, after becoming a trainer and realizing the importance of supplements and where they do fit in and where they really shouldn't fit in, I started to learn that if you are taking a supplement, you should treat that as a failure in your nutrition. Because supplements are really only there to supplement for holes in your nutrition, or even in your lifestyle. So if I was not getting enough sleep, then I may have needed energy from an outside source. If I was not eating the right foods, then I would have needed energy from an outside source. And that was what I was doing for my pre-workouts. And then not only that, but I also learned that I really shouldn't be hyping myself up every single workout. Like, every single workout doesn't need to be a beast mode workout. I don't need to make PRs every single workout. Sometimes I need to actually go slower. Sometimes I actually need to focus more on range of motion, be a little more calm and collect and focused in a calmer way, in a more collected way. And pre-workouts do a great job of just kind of making you go crazy and give you that central nervous system boost, but it doesn't exactly focus you in to have more control. And that is what I needed to work on more. So I eventually stopped taking pre-workouts. And if I were to add it up, I think I'm taking in now that 300 milligrams of caffeine per day. And that's definitely, that's definitely given me more energy than I have ever had. I can really remember just kind of barely getting through the day, not really able to be fully there, have any sort of energy at all. And now I definitely do have some days where I'm like that. There are definitely some days like that. And those are the days that I'm not getting enough sleep or I'm not planning out my programming well, or not giving myself that amount of energy naturally that I should have. But it's definitely far and few between. So I got to the place where I was just drinking coffee and the occasional Zevia Energy. And the really cool thing about, like I mentioned in the last podcast, the really cool thing about those Zevia Energies is that there's no other vitamins. If I'm taking a multivitamin, or if I'm getting plenty of vegetables and nutrients from my food, I don't need to be taking in extra vitamin Bs. I don't need to be taking in extra niacin. I don't need any of that. I might just need caffeine that day. And so the Zevia Energy just has the caffeine, just has that 120 milligrams. So, if you are stuck in that place where you are drinking coffee all throughout the day and you're just so sensitive to it, you're just so tolerant of it, you have no sensitivity to it, maybe you do need to wean yourself off of some of those sources of caffeine. Maybe you need to take a break completely. I'm actually at a point right now where I could probably do with taking a break just so I can regain a little bit more sensitivity. I would really like for me not to need to have that 200 to 300 milligrams of caffeine per day. And that's the way to do it, is you just wean yourself off for a little bit, maybe 2 weeks. If you can handle a month, take a month, and then reintroduce it, and you'll find you will not need as much in order to get that same amount of energy. And there's people that I even know, like one of my clients, Alex Downs, he makes fun of me all the time for always having a coffee or a energy drink when we're working out together. He trains with me very, very late. But he doesn't take in any caffeine, and he has great energy in his workouts. And I envy those people who are able to go through their day without coffee or without any form of caffeine. And unfortunately, I started way, way young, and it's always been a part of my life, and part of the culture of my family and the culture of my circles. So yeah. If you can do without it, then just go ahead and do without it. But if you are going to have it in your life, then have a good relationship with it. All right, that's enough about talking about coffee. That's enough about talking about my addictions. The topic of today's episode, I did want to center around surgery, choosing the fitness lifestyle rather than choosing surgery. Before we get into that topic, I do want to encourage you, go ahead and visit actfitnessacademy.com. There's a free health and fitness quiz there that you can take, some really good information that I want to make sure that you know. So go ahead and take that quiz. Totally free, totally fun. You'll get to surprise yourself with some of the answers. And at the end, you can read what I have there, some of the realizations that I had about the fitness industry and overall health and fitness. So go ahead and check that out, and make sure to visit the Instagram page, ACT Fitness Academy, and give us a follow. With that, this topic of surgery really hits home with me, because I've had a lot of clients of mine who have had surgeries, and a lot of clients who have, before working with me, thought about having surgery. I've even seen other trainers' clients who are in the same boat, either had surgery or thinking about having surgery. I've known a lot of people, consultations that I've done of people who chose to have surgery on their bodies, and even family who have either had surgery or considered having surgery. So I just have a lot of faces in my mind of people who chose to just go under the knife or are faced with that decision, should they be going under the knife or not. So let's go ahead and talk first about when it is good to go under the knife, when surgery is necessary. And I would say if it's necessary for your survival, let's start there. If it's necessary for your survival, absolutely. Go under the knife and save your life. Your number one priority at that moment should be to preserve your life and to stay alive, so that you can if it was a mistake, if it was an accident, if something happened to you, that's definitely something that you should go through, just to make sure that is not keeping you from continuing on with the life that you're meant to live. Other causes would be, all options have been thoroughly approached and either gone through. All other options have been gone through, like physical therapy or personal training or losing weight or fixing your diet, or all other options have been explored, and surgery is the only way to fix the problem. That is another reason why surgery would be okay. But I have met a lot of people who just don't choose to look at those other options, because in my opinion, surgery is not okay if you have not explored all those other options. A lot of people get surgery on their knees because of an injury, and again, let's say a tendon gets torn. Obviously, you need to reattach things, and you need to go under the knife to do those things. So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an injury where there's a little bit of pain, there's a little bit of dysfunction, there's a little bit of imbalance. I've known people who will decide to just have surgery rather than to look at the way that they move, and maybe there's a problem with the way they move their bodies in everyday life, or the way that they exercise, the way that they put pressure on their knees, or maybe it's their hips, and they're always slouching when they do things, and they're always trying to pick things up wrong, and they just don't move their bodies well, and so they'll feel this pain in these certain areas, and they'll think that the only hope that they have for a painless life is through going under the knife, when the reality is they need to fix their body, they need to fix their movement, and they are in control of that. They have the power to improve on their movement and to improve on how they control their body, to be able to get rid of that pain through properly controlling those muscles that are surrounding those joints, and aligning the body the way that it was meant to move and the way that it was meant to function. A lot of people just don't choose to go that route, or they think, I've definitely heard of people in this predicament where they go to the doctor and say, hey, how can I fix this? Well, you're overweight and that pressure is going down on the knee, and so it's causing damage to the knee joint and the tendons and ligaments that are involved there, so you're going to have to lose weight. So what do people do? They go and they do cardio and they run and they put more pressure on the knees, and it's causing even more damage, because all that weight that you were walking with that was causing damage is now being forced up and down into a running motion, which is then causing that pressure to be tenfold, causing even more damage, and it's not doing you any good. Even if you're the amount of weight that you lose from doing high impact cardio is just insignificant to the amount of impact that you're creating on the joint when you do that cardiovascular activity. So people will go down that route, and then they'll feel more pain, and they'll go to their doctor, and their doctor will say, well, I guess you're going to need surgery then if you can't lose the weight. So without exploring other options like resistance training, or like other forms of cardiovascular activity, or let's say fixing your diet, because fixing your diet will also help you to lose that weight, they'll decide to do the surgery. So let's just say you're in the predicament where you are questioning, and you've got the option in front of you to either have surgery or not have surgery. Let's look at the options, okay? Are you currently in resistance training? Are you actually helping your body to be stronger? Are you actually helping your body to move better and be stronger at moving your body better? If you're not, then you should be. And if it's hips or knees or things like that, as personal trainers, we have ways of helping you to build strength there without putting that pressure on the knees, or going alongside you in the journey of finding what exercises will be right for you. Because sometimes it is a challenge. Sometimes it is a challenge to find exercises that don't cause you pain or don't cause you to feel a negative reaction, or maybe you just don't have the flexibility yet. And so it takes the trainer to just be alongside of you and say, okay, well, if you can't do this, let's go one step lower and let's start doing this. Oh, we can't do this. Let's go one step lower and let's start doing this. Let's start here. Let's start here and build strength and mobility here, and then we can move forward with the next thing. And then we can move forward with the next thing. And before you know it, you've got strength, mobility, flexibility, full range of motion. And that is the journey that you should be on if you are in that predicament. And then even with cardiovascular training, okay, so we can't run. All right, so we can't do Stairmaster. Okay, well, and we can't do jump rope. Okay, well, can we go on a row machine? Can we go on an assault bike and maybe just use a bike where we can just use our arms? Can we do something where we can get our body moving that's not going to require us to put too much pressure on those knees? Can we take up boxing, which does have a little bit of movement in the lower body, but it's not impact on the lower body? There's options. There's options there for you, and you just got to do it. You just got to be open to those options and say, my body is worth saving. My body is worth the struggle. My body is worth the journey. And then with diet, if you do need to lose weight to get pressure off of your knee, maybe you need to give up some foods that you eat on a regular basis. Maybe there's a bag of chips that you love to eat. That's your favorite bag of chips. Doritos. Doritos are your favorite bag of chips. And you have Doritos every single day. Maybe you need to stop doing that. Maybe you go out to this certain place every single day or every single week, and it's just a habit. You've built these habits around certain foods that are unhealthy for you, and you just don't want to let go of those things. If that's you, what's more important, that food or your body? You just got to make that decision. What's more important, those foods or your body? And if you choose your body, well, then you're going to have to cut some other things out. And maybe not completely. Maybe you don't have to say goodbye to that place forever. Maybe that once a day or once a week needs to turn into once a month. Maybe it needs to turn into once a year. One of my favorite foods is orange chicken. And I think I even mentioned this on the podcast. One of my favorite foods is orange chicken. And I think it was about a year ago that I had orange chicken. I think it was about a year ago. I think it was right after my first Spartan race over at Lake Elsinore. When I got back, I was like, I'm going to have some orange chicken. And that was it. That was the last time that I had orange chicken. So I absolutely love the food. It's one of my favorite foods, but I'm not having it every single day. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You can have a great appreciation for certain foods and choose not to have it all the time. You can just have an appreciation for the great taste that it has. I have an excellent appreciation for the taste of cookies. I have an excellent appreciation for the taste of ice cream, especially French vanilla or cookies and cream ice cream, Oreos, Oreos in my ice cream. I have a great appreciation for the way that tastes. But that does not mean that I need to be having that every single day. And you shouldn't either. And so if you got to choose between some sort of food in your body, and you choose your body, well, then that's a journey. Now that's a journey to start finding those foods that are no good for you, and making the decision to just cut them out. And let's go into like autoimmune disease, and let's go into stomach issues, because a lot of people will who are in obesity and diabetes and are overweight. They'll choose to have surgery on their stomach or surgery on their digestive system, or maybe you have an autoimmune disease and you need to have surgery to be able to keep yourself from going to the bathroom all the time, or maybe you have these cramps, or maybe you have this bloating and all these problems that may be wrong with your body, and you're going to go to surgery rather than actually fix the issue. Let's go there, because that is all diet. That is absolutely all diet. And it's hard. It is really hard to make the decisions to give up these foods that are basically harming you. These foods that you may love are harming you. They're doing harm to your body, and they're keeping you from the life that you want to live. Getting a surgery on your stomach to make it smaller is not going to fix the problem that you have an issue with overeating. Taking this glass of I used to see these in commercials all the time, where you could drink this thing, and it would, the pictures showed that it would fill up your stomach so you wouldn't eat as much, and you drink this all the time and you're going to feel more full more often, whatever, so you'll eat less. I really don't believe it, because if you've got an issue with eating too much food, it probably has more to do with the pleasure that you feel from tasting food and the pleasure that you feel from continually consuming it. And that problem is not fixed with surgery. That problem is not fixed with pills. That problem is not fixed with supplements. It just isn't. That's you and your relationship with food. And so if you've got trouble with overeating, and you've got if you've got an autoimmune disease, and now you need to say, all right, so what foods are going to help me get better? And if what foods are going to help me get better? And if you're given that list, then follow that list. Do that. Choose those foods that are good for you. And if you don't, then you really can't have any excuse as to why things are happening to you. You're basically saying you choose the foods that you want over you getting better. And it's unfortunate, and if that's you, all right, if you're okay with going under the knife and doing something that is irreversible, if you're okay with that, then go ahead, more power to you. Everybody's got to make their own decisions. But again, that's not going to fix the problem. It's not going to fix the problem. And I remember having a consultation with someone who had gotten surgery on their, I think it was in one of their intestines. I think it wasn't making their stomach smaller. It was something else. I totally forgot. But they basically told me they got this surgery because they were overweight and they needed help with not overeating. So they got the surgery. And now they regret it because they can't even enjoy a meal that's over 300 calories. And they can't enjoy high fibrous foods that are not mixed. Like they need to be put into a smoothie or something, because they can't, their stomach can't take it. Their digestive system can't take it anymore. So they need to limit their food intake to like 300 to 500 calories every meal, which, a lot of people do that anyways, but you just took away some of your freedom, Surgery is something that's irreversible. It's, you can't go back from that, a lot of times. So, it's a very, very important decision to make, very, very important decision to make. And you need to weigh out all of your options and know that you have the freedom to choose other options other than surgery. You have the freedom to choose to change your diet. You have the freedom to choose to change your activity. So, I here at ACT Fitness Academy, we do our best to make sure that if we have anybody who's going through a certain issue, we're going to look it up. We're going to make sure that you've got all the answers possible that we can provide you to say, what are the foods that are going to give you that energy? What are the foods that are going to help you get better? What are the other nutrients that are, and herbs and teas and anything that you can put into your body that is going to make you feel better and be better? Taking action on this knowledge that is out there that can help you. Rather than just sitting on the sidelines and thinking, is there anything I can do? No, well, I guess I'm going to have surgery. No, that's not the truth. You have the freedom to look to what you put into your body, and then also what you do with your body. I'm definitely no doctor. I'm no surgeon. I'm no nurse or anything like that. But I can tell you that what you put into your body does matter, and what you do with your body does matter. And if you haven't looked to those things first before you've considered going under the knife, then I just encourage you to do so. I encourage you to do so. Because, I do not mean to be mean. I do not mean to be insulting. And I definitely don't mean to be belittling. But just with the knowledge that I know, what I've been able to do with my own body, with some of my clients, and then even from what I've heard from people that are in my circles, it is foolish not to look there first. It is foolish not to look at what you put into your body and what you do with your body first before you consider going into surgery. It's just foolish not to think of those things first. So again, I just encourage you, look to those resources. Find somebody who can help you find those resources, who cares about you enough to say that there's other options there for you, that maybe if you just change your diet and eat these things and cut those things out, maybe then you can change your life and change the way that you feel and change the amount of energy that you have. Or maybe if you change the activities that you do and start working out and start finding ways to work with your body and start the journey, that dance with your body to be able to get stronger and healthier, maybe then you could change your life and be able to move better and get away from that pain. Pain is a signal. Pain is a signal that something needs to be improved. It is not meant to be something that you dampen. It's not meant to be something to just dampen with painkillers and pain suppressants and Tylenol, ibuprofen, all of that stuff. It's not meant to be something to just cover up. It's telling you something. It's telling you that something is wrong with your body and you need to fix it. You need to fix it. So with that, if you are struggling with some of these things, if your doctor did tell you that you need to lose weight, if your doctor maybe told you that you needed to start working out or changing your diet or things like that, I would love for you to reach out to me, especially if you're in the Whittier area. I would love to meet you and talk more about this journey that you're about to be on, of looking at those options and seeing if you can actually go that direction rather than needing to go to surgery. And you know what? Again, I'm no doctor, I'm no surgeon, I'm no nurse, I'm no registered dietitian or functional nutritionist, nothing like that. But I do know that what you put into your body matters, and what you do with your body matters. How you act on this knowledge matters. And I hope to help you find a better option than surgery. All right. Well, I do hope that this episode was helpful for some of you. Again, go ahead and go to www.actfitnessacademy.com and you can get a hold of me there, or you can take advantage of the free health and fitness quiz there. Go ahead and take it. There's great knowledge and information on there, and it's a great place to start with your fitness journey. You can get a hold of me and see more resources over at the Instagram account, ACT Fitness Academy, the YouTube channel, ACT Fitness Media, and of course, more episodes here on ACT Fitness Radio. And if you do enjoy this podcast, we'd love it if you'd give us a 5-star rating and review, and be sure to subscribe to the podcast. That way you're updated on all new episodes. Again, all of these resources can be found at www.actfitnessacademy.com.